All right, back to the sign analysis. Here is the example, remember, was x plus 1, x plus 2, and x minus 3. Now we're going to see what happens with each of these factors at certain points along the x-axis. So if you can imagine this being our x-axis, and we know the zeros will be at -1, -2, and 3. So I'm going to put them on here. Try to kind of keep them separate to that. And then I'm just going to sort of make a chart, putting my factors in a vertical column like this. And x plus 2 and x minus 3. Now, I'm just going to imagine that I take a number somewhere out here that's less than -2, whether it's -3, -4, -100, doesn't matter. But whatever I put in here, say it's -4, if I put -4 plus 1, my answer is negative. It's -3. If I put -5 in there, my answer is negative. So whatever goes in there, my answer is always going to be a negative. Same here. This is always going to be a negative. And because a negative take away a negative is always a negative, this is always going to be negative. So these are three factors that we multiply together. So we'd have a negative number times a negative number, which would be positive, times a negative number, which will make this whole thing, everything on this side of this 0, has to be negative. So it has to be below 0 on our graph. Okay? And then we go into here, some number 1.5, -1.5, I guess it would be right about here. I put that in here. Well, -1.5 plus 1 is still negative. -1.5 plus 2 is a positive, right? Because it's 2 take away 1.5 is 0.5 is positive. And then this one is still negative. So now I take a negative number, I multiply it by a positive number, it's negative, times it by a negative number. This is actually going to be positive in this interval. Okay. Then I go between here. A nice number to pick is 0, right? 0 is right there. It's easy to put in. It's easy to see 0 plus 1 is plus, plus, minus. So plus, plus, minus. Multiply those three together. I end up with a negative. And then finally, anything greater than 3, well, then that'll be positive, positive. 4, take away 3 would be 1 would be positive. So it's all positive at that point. Okay, so the bottom information is the important part, right? Telling us what will be happening in each interval of our graph, right? We've got, like, if you want to think of our graph cut up into 4 pieces, that tells us where on the axis will be, on the y, I guess, above or below the x-axis, okay? So finally, I'm going to graph this using all the information that I have, okay? I know that it's degree 3, I know that it's positive, and that means it's end behavior, that it starts down here, it'll end somewhere up here, okay? I know my zeros are at -2, -1, and 3, okay? I know my multiplicity is 1, so it's going to be crossing here, and then at 1, so, right, even if I start graphing it, it's negative, negative, it crosses, now it's positive, and then at 1 it crosses and becomes negative again. I should have made that more curvy. This crosses at -6. I just decided that was -6. I should have put that on first. And again, it crosses here. Now these points here, we're just kind of estimating where they are. We don't really have anything that indicates that. That's something you'll learn in calculus, but we're just sort of sketching them. Again, it should look something like this. Not so jutty. And I just look, right? I'm negative up to there, I'm positive to there, I'm negative through there, and then I'm positive on the last part, right? So there we go. That's my sketch of the whole thing. Okay, so now let's do this quick example. I'll change my color up here. Let's see. Starting first, I know it's going to be, this is to the power of 3, so this is x times x times x times x times the -1. So it's going to be x to the 4 negative, which means it's even and it's negative. So its end behavior will be from 3 into 4, all right? My zeros occur, I'm going to start setting up for my sign analysis at -2 and at +4. Right? I can even put that on here. -2 +4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? That's where my zeros occur. And next I'm going to do, what was next? Multiplicity. So at 2, because it's a 3, I know it's going to go like this or like this, depending on my sign analysis. And at 4, it's just a multiplicity of 1, so it's either going to go like that or like that. So straight line or curvy line. Good. Now I'll do my sign analysis, and then I'll set everything else up. Because the 4 factors here are x plus 2, x plus 2, x plus 2, right? That's what x plus 2 to the power of 3 really means, those 3 multiplied together, x minus 4. But all of that is times this -1 out front. So you have to include a -1 is one of the factors. Okay? -1's easy because -1 is always negative, no matter where you go. It's a constant, it's always -1. So it's always negative. But now we can start looking at this. A number less than -2 here would be negative, 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 negative. 5 negatives means it's negative, right? 0, if I put that in here, that makes this one positive, 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 negative. The 2 negatives would be positive, the rest is positive. It's got to be positive. Go out here to a number that's greater than 4. It's going to be positive, 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 positive. 4 positives, 1 negative means it's negative. Okay. I can sort of piece this together now. I know it's going to start here. I know it's going to end here. I know that, so if it's starting in here, that it's got to cross at this point, come back at this point. I could take all the numbers and multiply them together to figure out where my y-intercept is. So 2 times 2 is 4, times 4 times 2 is 8, times -4 is -32, times -1 is 32. Okay, so it's going to have to cross there, I guess. And then I would just sort of sketch it. Ta-da! I don't know what it would look like exactly if you put it in Desmos, but that's a pretty rough sketch, right? You got this curvy thing happening here at -2. You've got the straight line crossing at 4, and you're going all the way there. That's graphing the polynomial. Oh gosh, 8 minutes already? Holy cow. Boy, that's too long of a video. Here's what we did next. We put everything together and we solved this one. We figured out what the factors were by looking at what multiplies to big 18, right? It can be plus or minus 1. It can be plus or minus 2. I guess 1 times 18, 2 times 9, 3, 6. Okay. And we did all this long division. We started off with 1 and figured out that that was a factor. So you know that one of the factors is x plus 1. And then we did it again and we found another factor was x plus 1. And then we had x minus 3, x minus 3, and I think it was x plus 2. You might want to double check that. We found those 5 factors and then we graphed it using the information there. And then, which, I mean, I can leave for you to try. We sort of did it together. We grabbed a textbook and we tried questions on page 148. We tried number 4 and then number 10. And then if you got done that, 7, which is just like the long question at the end that you did. And that's what you missed. If you have any questions, feel free to hit me up, email me, send me a remind. Sorry this video is so long.